Hello everybody and welcome to Planet FPL, the world where everything revolves around Fantasy Premier League. My name is Suj.
And my name is James.
And this week and for the next how long does this tournament go on for? It all revolves around the Euros. Is it 3 weeks? 4
About
weeks?
another 4 weeks way up.
4 weeks in total? 5 weeks in total? Who knows? Euros have started, James.
Yes.
With a bang.
Yes, not the way anybody imagined. Difficult weekend, I think, for most football fans across the globe.
Yeah. I mean, there were 7 games over the weekend. I think the biggest talking point, and by far, and it should be, was obviously the incident in the Denmark-Finland game on Saturday. I'd say early evening.
Yeah, traumatic to watch.
Difficult, surreal. You kind of don't know what to do or how to react, or it was one of those bizarre moments when I was watching the game, but I was not engrossed in the game, let's say. So I think I was tweeting or doing something on my phone at the time.
Tweeting?
Yeah, or reading Twitter or whatever else. Twitter's quite an amusing place at the moment. But anyway, I didn't see the incident in the sense that I didn't see Christian Eriksen go down. So when I kind of looked up and I thought, the stretchers are coming on, and within like 30 seconds, and the fact and the speed with which everything was happening, you knew this is serious. But I thought a tackle had happened, or there'd been a clash of heads or a collision to cause it, not that it was just straight that he collapsed. And it was only after they showed the incident that I thought, that's something completely different and strange. Just the way that he fell. Was horrible to see, and what can we say other than credit to everyone involved in keeping him alive, man. Ultimately, that's the outcome, right? What happened? They saved the guy's life, but yeah, very, very strange, surreal situation at the time.
It took me back to 2012 because I was in the ground when Fabrice Muamba collapsed. So I've had that experience of the being in the stadium.
In the stadium, in a strange way. I mean, you probably, compared to what we had at home, which was very little information in the stadium, you almost have less because they're not making announcements about what's going on.
I can tell you that 100% nearly everybody in that ground knew that a man's life was at risk with what was happening with Muamba.
Correct. But if you're kind of getting updates maybe from the TV that you might not in the stadium, because they're not going to make announcements or what have you. 9 years ago when that was happening, you're not going to be on Twitter or any of that kind of stuff.
I think it was going, but I mean, it's not. Social media is not what it is today.
Exactly. But it's just so surreal to watch, honestly. And first and foremost, I mean, the people that were involved in the situation, just take our hats off to them. The medics, getting him to the hospital. But the Danish team, the officials, I mean, there are no words for them other than just all absolute legends.
The heroes of Copenhagen in terms of the doctors and the medics and the physios who would have been involved in obviously helping to save him. Want to give a shout out to Anthony Taylor. Yeah. Because all we do on these podcasts is bash referees, and he dealt with that. And obviously to come back and redo the game as well. Incredible from him and his team. Simon Kjær, the Denmark captain, who didn't have a great game, but it's irrelevant, apparently cleared his airwaves, made sure he didn't swallow his tongue. Was the first part. Kasper Schmeichel, who sprinted straight over, and he's obviously been through so much. He apparently ran to the helicopter, didn't he? He was still in the stadium at Leicester when Vishay's helicopter went down. And he was obviously consoling Eriksen's wife. Why did they show Eriksen's wife on TV?
I mean, the TV was really, it was just odd. I know the BBC have had quite a bit of stick in some of the pictures they've shown, and I get that because there were certain things that maybe they shouldn't have zoomed in on and stuff. But I wanted them to stay on air because
I wanted him to sit up or something like that.
I just wanted to know that he was going to be okay. Because until he was going to be, we were sitting at home, and I've got a TV in my bedroom, and what inevitably happened over the entire weekend was that the downstairs of the house belonged to everybody else, and I sat in bed watching the game. So I was sitting upstairs on my own while the rest of the family were downstairs, and we'd ordered a Chinese takeaway that had just literally arrived when that had happened, 2 or 3 minutes before.
You ain't eating.
So my wife is like, "You're gonna come down and eat?" And I was like, "No." She's like, "Well, why not?" I'm like, "Well, I don't know how to explain to you, but I think a player might be dead on the pitch." Like, how do you say words like that? So
I had the same conversation.
No. No, because I think something as bad as this might have happened, and for her to process it, not watching the game as well, she's like, weird. I'm like, well, it's nothing to do with me, but you get into that mode where until I know he's all right, I can't do anything. Nothing.
Yeah.
And thank God that it was only sort of 15 or 20 minutes, and then we knew at least that he was on his way to hospital and stable, and then you can kind of take a deep breath and be like, fine, all right, cool. And it wasn't until the day after where things had settled and you get a night's of sleep on it that you're like, okay, do you know what? The guy's alive. He's had his tests, and all's well that pretty much kind of ends well. But it's very, very difficult to explain. And he's a player that played for your club, and not only played for your club, he was a superstar. He was really, really hell of a player. So you have that secondary level of attachment I think, to someone like him as well.
Yeah, everybody suffered through this. I think even probably Arsenal fans would have been, everyone be the same, right? Yeah. I never saw any comments online of negativity other than please, like, be all right.
Every club, including Arsenal.
Twitter, as we moan about a lot, cesspit, right? There was none of that on Saturday. It was just please be okay. Everybody praying, like. But yeah, there was. I think I felt an extra layer of what was going on, having been through the Mwamba thing, which affected me pretty badly at the time, because a little bit like what you're saying about social media then and now, I went to bed that night and I didn't know if he was like dead or alive, right?
Yeah.
The fuck?
I mean, when you look back on it, Mwamba, 78 minutes, dead for 78 minutes, and then still be alive. Like,
that's incredible. I don't know how that works, but thank you again.
I still can't get my
head around that. And he was one of the first tweets I saw, because I think a lot of us naturally, while it was going on, went online to see if there was some sort of different information or news, and one of the first tweets I saw was just Mwamba tweeting, "Please God," like. Yeah. So I mean, Eriksen as a player, obviously he kind of fell out at Tottenham at the end, but I mean, absolute hero for us, right? For a good 7 years or so, a player that I've idolised, absolutely brilliant footballer. So I felt that even more, right? I mean. Nobody should be passing away who's younger than yourself, really. It's kind of the thing you almost take for granted in life.
Yeah.
And footballers die. I mean, the first game at the new stadium, we had a Legends game. And I think Goran Benjevcevic, who played for us in the mid-noughties, was meant to play for us. And there was some news just before that he'd passed away. I think it was the same thing. He'd had a heart attack and passed away. And you hear the news and you're like, wow, that's shocking. But you don't see it.
No.
So I was similar to, I was at home, so my wife was out, and I had little Harry sitting on my lap watching something on the iPad while I was watching the game. We had a little deal, like, you're focused with that, let me watch the football. See, I didn't go into kind of meltdown mode completely. You messaged me and I said, I'm a mess, mate. Yeah. But I also switched on into kind of dad mode, right? Because I'm looking after him by myself. And then the wife came back, and it was literally just after the BBC had cut their coverage, and she was like, "You're right," and I was like, "No, not really." And she obviously didn't know what was going on.
No, of course.
And she wanted to shout at him, as in like he'd been a bad boy or something. I was like, "It's not him." And it was the same as yourself. I'm like, how do I begin to explain this? Oh, Christian Eriksen might be dead. Like, how do I?
Those words, you don't want those words to come out of your mouth. How do I even explain? So what I actually said to her, I said, "Eriksen's Mwamba." Is what I said. Yeah. And I said, and we don't know. And she was like, is it right? I was like, I don't know. We're waiting. And it was literally a couple of minutes after that, the picture surfaced online of him on the stretcher. And I don't think anybody wanted to commit to say, he's okay. No. In case some sicko had doctored something online or something. Yeah. Exactly. Once Fabrizio Romano tweeted, then I know everything in life is 100% correct. And I was like, on we go. It's okay. We can move. So then I phoned my dad, to see if he was all right, because I idolised Eriksen. My dad fucking worshipped him, right? Yeah. So I was like, wow, I know my dad's going to be properly affected by this, and he was all right. We spoke. He was going around in circles because he didn't know how to feel.
and stuff. And while I was on the phone to him, he was like, they're kicking off again in 20 minutes. I was like,
what? That was something, yeah. We'll talk about the game in a minute. I mean, they said they were going to make the announcement at 8:45, like European time, so 7:45 or whatever. And it came a little bit later than that. And when they said the players, and they're really insistent on this message, the players insisted they wanted to carry on with the game. And what for? What for? Because you could tell in the game afterwards that it was just so flat.
The players didn't choose, did they?
No.
That's the reality. What actually happened was they got given two choices. They got said you can either finish the game tonight, or you can come back and finish it at 12 o'clock or today. Yesterday. Sorry, on Sunday. So that wasn't really much of a choice, was it? And they probably looked at it and gone, all the fans are in the stadium.
Yeah, it's like 50 minutes. Just let's just get through.
If he's
this.
okay,
and
yeah, because I would have. I think I'd have been a bit like that. I'd have been, just get it done.
Yeah,
100%.
Just get it done.
Option 3 was probably you don't want to know what option 3 is.
No,
I think option 3 would have probably been give Finland the game. And actually, who would have give a fuck if they went give Finland the game?
No, at that point, football doesn't matter. But yeah, just a difficult situation. All we can say in terms of the people you mentioned, Kjær and Kasper Schmeichel, all the Danish team doing what they could to shield Eriksen from the fan, not shield him from the fans, but the fans didn't need to see that. The medics, just the whole lot, saved the man's life at the end of the day. So
the image of the Denmark players standing around and protecting Eriksen's dignity will be the lasting image of this tournament.
100%. Could not agree more, and it's nice. It's nice the way that we could see so many members of the community in football come together in that scenario. So yeah, well done to everyone. And in amongst that, there was a lot of football, mate, and fantasy as well. Fantasy Euro 2020.
How'd it go for you?
Oh no, that's the wrong question. How's it going?
Oh, how's it?
Because
how is it going as of Monday morning?
Kind of halfway through the game week or match day or whatever you want to call it, to be fair with you. I quite enjoy the format because there's so many variables throughout the week.
You're talking of fantasy, not the actual tournament.
In terms of player substitutions and a lot of the heavy hitters in terms of France, Germany, Spain, Portugal still haven't played yet. You can't tell how you're doing in comparison to other people, nor should you really care at this stage. So you end up having to just focus on yourself and your team and the games and the players that you have. So I started the week quite well. I had Donnarumma in goal on Friday night, as well as Berardi. I decided Berardi was the cheaper option. I thought they both did okay, but 6 and 6.
Yeah, I think we decided on Friday we had to go with him.
Yeah. And then went into Saturday with Lukaku as captain. Obviously, I had Christian Eriksen as well, but I mean, it's just no issues there. Denea didn't play, and I think the media, the Belgian media, everyone's in a bit of shock about Denea not playing, but you know, he was a cheap option, so you have to take that on the chin. And I had Lukaku captain, so Lukaku, obviously I stick with Lukaku as my captain now with a 20-pointer. Went into Sunday, John Stones again returned, Mason Mount with a 3-pointer. So at that point, I'd had returns from everyone except Mason Mount from my team. And then the Holland game, or Netherlands game, we should say, Depay and De Jong both blanked for me. So that was a bit difficult. And on top of that, on top of Denea not playing, João Cancelo in my squad unfortunately has contracted COVID, so that's a difficult one.
I had a feeling you wouldn't know.
Get well,
João Cancelo, and anybody else, Sergio Busquets, anyone else with COVID.
Yeah, when stuff like what's happened with Eriksen and all the rest of it's going on, anyone who's being a dickhead and blaming players for not turning up for their fantasy teams, forget about it. Life's bigger than that. I still have Morata to play today. To Spain are playing today. Today. Tonight. Bednarek and Thomas Souček still to go, and Pau Torres, as well. So I've got 4 players to go. I'm on 45 points, and overall I'm quite happy with my selections. The only one that I'm disappointed with is Frankie de Jong. Didn't really have much attacking threat in the game yesterday, but you can't win them all.
Great game that was last night.
It was very exciting.
We'll talk about it as we will the other games in a little bit. How many points you on?
45 with 4 to go.
Okay. How many points do you remove once you bring the subs in, do you think?
Just Frankie de Jong 2 for Souček. So no major issue there. I'm
on 63 with 3 to go. Although I don't mind if Lewandowski gets me a big fat 0 donut tonight, because out of principle I kind of want to leave Christian Eriksen's 1 point in my team. I'm on 63. I've had a decent start. Berardi and Insigne on Friday night. Moved captaincy from Insigne to Lukaku on Saturday. That's obviously locked in now. 20 pointer. I'd said Friday 2 attacking returns for me for night 1. Yeah, and I think it was the same for night 2. And then, like, if Lukaku had only just scored, I was moving it on again to Weghorst.
Correct. I would have moved to. And then I think moved to Depay. So
that would have been a really difficult one now to be sitting on Weghorst. I think if I was on the Weghorst 6-pointer, I think I'd go Lewandowski again.
Yeah,
I think I'd just keep going.
It depends who you have coming up as well, doesn't it?
But I think those who ended up on Lukaku, I think it's fairly easy decision to hold on. I think the majority of other people who probably aren't on Lukaku probably stuck on a Spinazzola or an Insigne or an Immobile on Friday night. So I think captaincy returns likely to be quite similar across the game. I think there's a few people obviously didn't have Lukaku and stuff and probably rolling gambling, but you never know. They might walk into Ronaldo hat-trick on Tuesday, right? It's not over yet. Weghorst, I obviously went with over Depay. It was a nice little bonus having the goal. He had Heredeki's 13 points for Finland on Saturday.
Yeah, I've got that on the bench. That's a difficult one, isn't it?
That's exactly why I said.
And that Højbjerg penalty, I mean...
You want the punt.
I knew he was going to miss it.
You want the punt in the starting team, not on the bench.
Correct.
For exactly that reason. That's why I didn't like the pairing of him and Donnarumma. Because the chances are Herediki was going to fuck it up, bring in the next player. That said, obviously, if he'd done nothing, which most of us would have expected, I'd have been going to Backman, who did nothing. So those who went Donnarumma and you locked in a clean sheet. It is what it is. You've obviously not done wrong. Jordi Alba assist yesterday, interesting from sweeper position, ended up on the left flank with a brilliant cross for Austria's second goal. Defensively, 4.5 million nightmares, like I think many people have had. Double defensive, Mahele and Kjær let me down. Denaya's no-show. Although just interestingly on Jason Denaya, because I know a lot of people got him 20% owned overall in the game. Beata, who's 4.5, did play. Roberto Martinez said after the game that Beata's played against Juba quite a lot previously. So it might have been that he picked Beata specifically for Juba.
Yeah.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Owen Windale decided to come on for Hotland. And I was thinking, okay, we'll take the 1 pointer there at the end. That'll do. This is going to help me keep Eriksen around in my team, possibly. No, 2 goals conceded. Big fat donut for him as well. So I've got Lewandowski and Pau Torres coming in for Denaya and Windale today. And as long as Lewandowski scores 2 or more, it'd be Bruno Fernandes in for Eriksen tomorrow.
3 to go.
Captaincy stays on Lukaku. So 63 62. With 3 to go. Yeah, it's a decent start. I'm at 22k overall.
I haven't looked where I am.
Decent start. Yeah. Look, let us know where
I'm
not
I am. Probably 500,000. How many players are there even in this game?
It's over 1 mil, I think. So we'll take that for
3.25 million. I'm at 331k.
There you go. It's all right.
It's all right. It's not bad.
Better than your fucking FPL rank.
I feel all right with the way it started, and we won't worry about that now. People can tune in on Wednesday morning for Limitless talk. But are you still on the same strategy, Limitless match week 2?
Yes, yeah. And to be honest, the way the weekend's gone, although I've had a good score, I might have to wildcard in game week 3, but I'm not going to worry about that till I'm kind of at least halfway through game week 2.
I'm still Limitless for match week 2, but we've learnt so much from the first 7 games. I want to see the rest of the games and the lineups before I'm even making any decisions.
I won't even draft the Limitless till after Germany, France. Exactly. I'm not interested.
No. And because of the way the Limitless chip works, what I have done in terms of Limitless is I know which teams I want to target because of the fixtures, basically. France, Ukraine, England, so on and so on. So I kind of know what teams, and I've looked at it in terms of days, but I'll worry about it when we get to that point. So, yeah, good. Let's talk about some of these games then, because people will be interested. We kicked off on Friday night with Italy-Turkey, or Turkey-Italy, whichever way around it is.
Italy-Turkey, please.
Come on. So, I thought it was a good game to watch. I thought Italy actually played quite well. Defensively, they were good. They kept the ball really well. And neat and intricate, but you can tell they're a small, technically gifted team rather than actually having any big, strong physical strikers or anything like that they may have had in the past. They were good, I thought, Italy. They were good. But I think ultimately my takeaway was Italy are good, but they're probably not good enough to go all the way.
Oh, I disagree.
And Turkey weren't great, but I actually think Turkey, in the first half, as much as Italy had a lot of the possession, they defended reasonably well, Turkey. I mean, Italy didn't have loads of chances. And I actually think Turkey will beat Wales. Even though, off that performance, I still think Turkey are good enough to beat Wales. I think Italy were decent, but I don't think... When they come up against a team that are better defensively, bigger, stronger defensively, even in England, I don't think they'll score enough to get through. They'll get to the quarters, probably, Italy, but I don't think they're going to go all the way semis or finals.
I absolutely think they can win this tournament. I've been more impressed with them than anybody, and admittedly there's some very good teams who haven't played yet: Spain, Italy, Portugal, Germany, just to name but four. But I'd be very surprised if any of them are better technically and tactically than Italy. They're a team, a collective, no out-and-out superstars. Yes, name to name, France, of course, have stronger throughout the team. France's second 11 in theory could beat Italy. There is no doubt that France should probably win this tournament.
That's why Italy won't go all the way.
However,
I think Germany could beat Italy.
For reference, should Italy and France both win their groups, they would beat in the semi-final. I would think, as it stands right now, Italy are the best positioned team in this tournament to upset France. I was so impressed with them.
I don't think they've got enough goals in them. Berardi, albeit, he put that across in.
But they've shared the goals around. I
don't think Berardi's that good. He played all right, but there were moments where I was like, hang on a second, are you a professional? Like the ball bouncing off him and stuff. I don't think he's that
Here's
good.
The thing. If you actually break down Italy's 11 versus France's 11, for example, honestly, there's not many Italy players are getting in the France 11. That doesn't matter.
Agreed, because there was a point in the commentary, I don't know if it was that specific game, but one of the games where someone talked about like Greece have won this tournament. Denmark have won this tournament in our living memory.
England have not.
In our living memory.
Yes.
Which goes to the point that it's the team that comes, and that Danish team and that Greek team, it was about the collective of the team.
Euro 92 is the first tournament I really remember watching. I thought that shit was normal. People coming off the beach and winning tournaments.
So I agree. I take your point that about the team, and that 100% there's some unity in that Italian team. But if a team have a decent defense, I think they'll struggle to potentially break them down. But from a fantasy point of view, Spinazzola, I'm all over that when I'm ready to wildcard or get into.
He's absolutely in the limitless, isn't he?
He's straight in. I thought Insigne was good. Immobile, Berardi, all of them. There's options all over the pitch from a fantasy point of view with Italy. I think I did like that.
I loved the way they played. I've spoken quite a bit in the last few weeks about players within teams playing multiple positions. So Spinazzola plays left back and left wing back in this team, for example. Barella plays central midfield and also attacking midfield, and they shove around the system depending on when they have the ball. Haven't got the ball. I'm stating the obvious for most of you who are tactically aware that obviously Italy played a back four, but within possession, Spinazzola very, very high. Florenzi kind of held back. It became a back three that then went into basically a 3-4-2-1 basically. I loved Barella's positioning in the game. It was a reason why I kind of highlighted him last Thursday, being the one that broke out from midfield. And I know some were a bit ummy and ahry about that. This guy is going to get second assist for nearly every fucking goal that Italy score because it goes for him. Jorginho is looking to play the break the lines pass to Barella all the time. And the reason they do that is exactly how it functions, where Spinazzola comes high, Insigne drifts kind of into central areas, and then Barella's joining in with Insigne. Berardi holds the touchline and the width wide. And obviously you still got Immobile ahead. So suddenly they've kind of transitioned from 4-3-3 to 3-2-4-1, and it's quite exciting to watch. Like Immobile, because he drops in deep as well. There was a lot of kind of... I'd not seen that in him so much when I'd watched him occasionally in his club career, really dropping into feet. I saw it a little bit from what I'd seen in their game with the Czech Republic the previous week in a friendly when I did some analysis on them. And Insigne particularly just picks up the space behind. Barella is really interesting, I think, as a 7 million midfielder. If you look at the goals again... The first one, it's he plays the ball out to Berardi, who crosses in, and your Turkish defender, Demiral, the only way he was going to stop scoring an own goal is if he'd pulled out 4 Keanu Reeves matrix moves, mate. He literally could not get out of the way.
And if he didn't, then Immobile was coming in behind him anyway. So.
The second goal, it's Barella into Berardi again. Spinazzola obviously has a shot that's then saved Immobile. And again, on the third goal, Berardi, you know what they do as well? Control pass, moves it on. That third goal is beautiful. Which was Barella into Immobile, and then obviously Insigne's finish, loves that finish, wrapping it into the far corner. Honestly, Suj, I think tactically and technically, they are going to give some good teams some big problems. For me, they can go all the way. Right now, I would make them second favourites for this tournament.
Well, I think it's premature to say that because we haven't seen some teams play. But
you're saying you think Turkey will beat Wales?
Yeah.
So off the basis of what on that? So then,
no, but in the first,
it's got to balance both ways because
in the first 20-30 minutes, I thought Turkey defended reasonably well. I thought they did have good shape, and I thought they were all right. And Yilmaz, I mean, they had a couple of chances. I don't think Turkey will be. I think Italy made Turkey look not great.
Yes, agreed.
And I think Turkey will be better against Wales. I thought Wales weren't very good against the Swiss, which we're going to talk about in a minute. So that's why I think Turkey will beat Wales. I just look at their front line, James. This is it. I look at their front line in Insigne, if it's Berardi, Immobile or whatever. If you come across a team with a really beefy defence, I don't know if they'll be able to be intricate enough to... Because Italy, what they were very good. They were patient and it was build-up play and they moved the ball well, agree with you. But a team that are better defensively organised won't give them that space. Like, come across England with Rice and Phillips playing in there and say Maguire's back and Stones. I think they're defensively too big and strong and Italy won't score enough goals to... They'll might only pick
right now, if we played them, I think they'd dominate us.
Yeah, possibly, maybe.
But
we've seen we've seen games where you can have 60 or 70% possession and still lose.
They're the team I've researched the most of the big nations in the build-up to the tournament because we've got a lot of players, I think through the spine, people like Chiellini, Bonucci, Donnarumma in goal. Obviously, we're familiar with Jorginho and stuff. But a lot of the wide players are quite unfamiliar with, so I really wanted to do the research on them properly. I was impressed doing the research. I'm impressed even more now watching them. I think about like Barella's positioning, and again, you talk about, say, comparing to France. Like the positions that Barella picks up is going to kind of possibly be around Pogba's starting positions for France. Like, what's fucking Pogba want to do? You want to be going back with Barella? It's going to give them problems if they end up playing against each other. They play with high intensity all throughout. I agree with you. I thought Turkey defended really well in the first half. They kept the game compact. If there was a negative to Italy where I think they could be exploited, and it might be interesting for Wales, there was 2 occasions where Yilmaz got really down the sides and they couldn't get players up to support. Now, if Wales can keep that tight like that and send Daniel James away, then it's different because he's properly rapid, right? And then if he's running at Chiellini or etc., then he possibly could cause them some trouble. I thought they defended really well. The problem was they got to about 35 minutes in and they were shattered because they were like, what is this? This pressure's intense.
It was
and
intense.
Italy just stayed patient. And right at the start of the second half, Turkey just changed slightly and actually very briefly for a couple of minutes, the game split into 2 5v5s. Turkey brought Under on and decided they were going to exactly that. If they could get Under down the side rather than Yilmaz, because they did have the one breakaway where he had a little run, which was still at 0-0. And what they never did, Turkey, they never put any pressure on the ball. In the first couple of minutes of the second half, they decided they were going to do that. And Italy quickly realised it, and they played through the line so quickly. And again, look back at the goals. It's always into finding Barella in space. And once they do that, you're in trouble.
Yep.
They've got you. He's a very good player.
Let's talk about Wales, Switzerland. I mean, how did Switzerland not win this game?
Partly because of Danny Ward in goal for Wales.
Give him credit because that was a good performance. I mean, he pulled off some worldies in there. Definitely, yeah.
A bit disappointed with Wales, but I know a little bit like we kind of saw with the England game, is the playing the 2:00 shift is tough. I mean, it's hot.
In Baku as well.
And even in London yesterday, and it is, me and Suj are in shorts at the moment, thankfully.
Yeah, trust me. I mowed the lawn yesterday morning at 11 o'clock. It took me about 40 minutes. I was done, mate, and that was mowing the lawn. How the guys played 90 minutes even later in the heat. I didn't think Wales offered enough at all, but I thought Switzerland were decent. I don't know much about the Swiss team. I'll be honest with you, I didn't do much research. I didn't really know if they were good or not good. I thought they were all right, you know. I mean, that Switzerland-Turkey game, I think, is quite a decent matchup now. Actually, I think that will be a really good game of football. I think that will be obviously who decides who goes second in the group.
You would think so, probably. I actually think Turkey are capable of beating both these sides. You can't look at how Turkey played against Italy and compare that for what's going to come for Wales and Switzerland. Honestly, it's just completely different football matches. Plus, Turkey are basically going to have both of these fixtures as like home games. So they're going to be talking about, I mean, you'd have noticed in Baku, they can actually have half capacity in that stadium.
It wasn't even... They were selling tickets, they were saying,
25 quid, yeah.
But I thought even 25 quid, fuck it, make them a tenner, mate.
So, Turkey are going to fill half the ground, basically, in these games. They're going to take people out there. I've heard it described by one of the commentators at the weekend. They kind of think of each other as cousins a little bit.
Okay.
So Turkey are going to take people to Azerbaijan, no doubt about it. It's going to be like a home game for them, which is going to make the task more difficult for Wales and Switzerland. On Switzerland, just a chat out from Bolo, who's scored, who was a player who broke into the Switzerland team 6 or 7 years ago as an 18-year-old, and everyone wanted him. Everyone wanted him. He was going to be the next kind of Lukaku, that kind of beast mode player up front who's got a little bit of everything. And for one reason or another, partly because of injuries, his career didn't really kick on. He decided 5 minutes before half time he was going to go into Brill and Bello mode, and he started the second half the same. He was like, I'm going to go at these. These lot can't deal with me. And they couldn't deal with him.
No, he was very good.
He was so aggressive in his play. Scored a lovely little header from a corner, which I'm not quite sure. I think it was Connor Roberts ended up marking him from the corner. I hate that sort of matchup. It really makes me worried. I don't think Roberts did a lot wrong. He just got outpowered by Mbolo. Switzerland tidy enough. They've improved as a nation massively over the last 20 years. You always feel like them, they're last 16 team. They always feel like a team will get through the group.
Yeah. Especially in a competition like this. The other thing that kept coming up in commentary was how teams only need one win, or like just 3 points might be enough to get through and stuff.
Well, if either of these sides beat Turkey, they'll go through. And that's probably where they're at. I mean, Switzerland did a little bit more to try and win the game. I think from Wales's perspective, obviously, there was the disallowed goal as well. Robbie Savage called it. I don't know if you've noticed. It's so embarrassing. I had to tweet it out. Did you see my tweet?
Yeah, I saw it.
I called it. How old are you, mate?
What difference does it fucking make? You're not the lino. You're not the VAR. Just come on, man. I can understand when you get passionate about your own nation, but no, I thought, I didn't see enough from Wales, to be honest with you, especially in that
attacking third. What a wet wipe. Listen, if Ali McCoist wants to commentate on England games, I ain't got a problem with that, by the way. Don't put Robbie Savage near that. Honestly, piss off. I actually looked to see what channel Wales were on for the game against Turkey. They are on BBC. I was like, oh, bollocks. I wish it was. Rarely, I was like, I wish it was on ITV. Fucking hell, what a plonk up.
What's your views on Kiefer Moore? Let me ask you another question, because this is a better question. Do you think Kiefer Moore could make it in the Premier League? The step up?
Possibly. He'd have to play for someone with a certain style that would be suited, i.e. a team that likes to get crosses in and stuff. I think, is he better than, say, Chris Wood at Burnley? I'd go no, personally.
Yeah.
To give you, but could he do a job in the Premier League? Yeah, I think great headed goal. It was
very good finish,
brilliant movement to get across the front and stuff. It was a surprise to see him in the team because we obviously had Ross Corf FPL one last week, and we spoke about this idea of either Ramsey or Harry Wilson playing as false nine, and obviously in a back three as well. So the team dropped, and that was a big surprise to me to see Wales in a back four. It was a surprise to see Joe Morrell in the team. I thought he played fine, to be honest. I thought Metham and Roden did okay. I thought Ben Davies was great at left back. I obviously keep an eye out for him a little bit more because he plays for my club. You have to remember, Ben hasn't played for 3 months either. I thought he was really good at left back. Bale disappointed, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
But
there was, I think they said in the commentary, in that half time, the least touches on the pitch in the first half was Gareth Bale.
Didn't like Daniel James's reaction either to getting substituted, and it probably was a little bit harsh that he got substituted. But me, yes, you're Daniel James. Yeah, you're coming off. Yeah,
be disappointed, but don't make.
He was proper stroppy about it.
But I thought the manager handled it well at the end in his interview and stuff.
Well, I think Rob Page has handled a lot of things very well with what's been going on off the pitch.
I didn't know much about him prior to yesterday, prior to the weekend, to be honest with you. I think he came across very well.
I think
very
he's
impressive.
doing fine. In an odd way, Wales have got just as much chance of getting through as Switzerland, because I think Italy will beat Switzerland and they might change the whole team against Wales, and it might give them half a shot, actually. Exactly the same happened with the Republic of Ireland, who beat Italy 5 years ago to get through at the death in their group then. And it might be the same for Wales in this group. So, in an odd way, Wales have actually got just as much chance to get through as Switzerland, because I feel like they've got 2 chances. I don't see Switzerland getting anything against Italy, to be honest. No. They'll have to beat Turkey. A little bit like you, I wouldn't be surprised if Turkey beat both of these, actually. But they'll have to. I think for Turkey, these 2 games will feel very easy for them, having played against Italy.
Correct.
I feel that the come down is massive.
Yeah.
Not that these 2 are particularly bad. It's just a massive drop down from Italy to this. These 2 games should feel easy.
But on the flip side, for Wales and Switzerland, they're probably looking at Italy thinking, shit, we're not going to beat Italy, so we have to beat Turkey now. So it's going to make those games quite competitive. But 1 win should be enough for either. So it'll be interesting to see. But I'm back in Turkey to beat both of them, probably. The Denmark-Finland game followed. Now, obviously, I don't even know how to look at it and analyse it. We had 40 minutes or so of football before the incident. Denmark were doing very well, dominating the ball. They had a lot of chances. They seemed relatively comfortable, to be honest with you. And then the last 50 minutes, the players just... Yeah, it didn't seem... It's not worth analysing. I mean, Finland now have given themselves a great chance of going through by picking up the 3 points. But Denmark, I still do... I mean, obviously, they were outside tip to maybe win the group. They've got a difficult...
it's a different circumstance now.
Opportunity, but, I mean, Belgium's going to be a difficult game for them.
I presume Christian Eriksen will be unavailable.
Yeah.
But, I mean, have you seen some of Eriksen's comments about... He was like, I'm ready to go and train. And
No. Yeah, he needs to shut the fuck up.
Yeah, a little bit. I think so, yeah. But,
listen, man, you just had a heart attack.
Yeah. I presume he won't be available.
Take it easy, mate.
The thing is, it was... I think most of us didn't want to watch the rest of the game. I mean, my reaction...
I only watched until
my reaction at the
started,
time when we didn't know what was happening was, I'm not watching Belgium if I don't know what's happening. Like, who gives a crap, right? But then you assume, obviously, that they're going to go and play, so you must be okay, which is obviously what's turned out to be the case. And I think there was a little bit of, I want to watch this because I want to see them go and win now.
Yeah, I think if...
But I didn't have the motivation to feel that way for them, and I don't think the players did it.
Almost with the Finns,
so tough.
I felt like if I was a Finnish player, I'd be glad that we'd won, but I'd almost be embarrassed that we'd won because it just was awkward. It was an awkward victory to take away. Højbjerg going up for that penalty, I knew he was going to miss it. So it just psychologically didn't feel like...
I mean, go back to the Tottenham connection. I was like, what? He did take a good penalty, actually, for Tottenham in a shootout against Chelsea back in September in the Carabao Cup. He didn't go that side, by the way. He went the other way and wrapped it. But even that, the penalty was like an apology, wasn't it?
It was.
I thought in that situation, when I saw he was going to take it, I was thinking, he's going to fucking smash this because of the emotion of what's going on and stuff. It was
too weak.
But at the same time, I was thinking, I'm getting fucking clean sheet and penalty save here from Radicki is what I was thinking.
That was a mad situation. Do you think mentally the Danes will be able to recover for the rest of the tournament? Are you going to avoid Denmark players now?
Yeah,
You've got two sitting there.
It's a completely different circumstance as well because their best player as well, their talisman, their captain, everything.
The reason we picked him because he's on everything.
Exactly. He's presumably out for the rest of the tournament. That's a massive impact on them. Psychologically, how do they deal with the recovery? There might be some motivation, kind of a couple of days to move on from it. I don't know if it's all right to say, oh, he's okay now. I don't think them players can unsee what they saw.
No.
That's the big thing. And how they react to that, I don't know. I still feel they can get out this group because I think they'll have the advantage still of having the games in Copenhagen against Belgium and Russia. Even there was when the game restarted, there weren't as many people in the stadium as there were beforehand. Yep. So I think there were even a lot of people in the crowd were like, gives a fuck about football, go down the pub or whatever. So even like the atmosphere in the ground kind of died. At the time of the incident, I felt they were playing quite well. Finland carried a little bit of a threat on the counter-attack. I mean, Kjær actually was a little bit fortunate not to bring down Pukki, which would have resulted in a red card and one breakaway. I quite liked Kamaru, who played in midfield for Finland, who a lot of people had told me pre-tournament had a great season for Rangers. Liked him, very composed on the ball. The reality, though, when you look at the statistics of the game, is Denmark had 22 shots, Finland had 1 and scored.
Yep.
And that's the reality. And there's nothing will sum up the whole day for Denmark better than that. Literally one shot, not one shot on target. Finland had 1 shot and it scored.
Yeah.
Denmark didn't do enough with the ball, but I mean, missed the penalty. Should they have lost the game? Did they deserve to lose the game? No. I think Finland have obviously, yes, of course, 1 point and they're going to go through. It's fairly obvious. And they've got a great chance of getting that against a very average Russia, in my opinion. I think Denmark could go either way against Belgium in midweek. They could be so up for it and everybody pulls together and they get a result, or they could get beat 3 or 4-0. It could go either way.
You mentioned Russia. Moving on to the Russia-Belgium game, which we thought might be difficult because it is in Russia and we thought a home crowd. I just watching it, I just felt like, okay, Belgium did well to get into the lead. When they got into the lead early, they're going to be able to control the game much better. I felt like Russia tried to turn it into a little bit of a physical battle, but Belgium were too good for them. They weren't good enough on the ball, so they just tried to make it a physical game and get in their faces and really put in some heavy challenges. And it's not going to work because Belgium were too good. And in the end, they just controlled it so well. There were a lot of players in that Belgium team that put their hand up as potential selection. I mean, the thing is it Carrasco?
Well, Carrasco was a great punt, particularly for those who were looking to wildcard in match week 3.
With Hazard and De Bruyne coming back, is his position at risk maybe or not?
Oh, no, I wouldn't buy Carrasco now.
Nah. No. And Meunier, I mean, he only came on.
Well, Castagne's out for the tournament. Yeah, my understanding.
That black eye looked dodgy, but Meunier will come in. Anyone that punted on him before, he didn't start, but then comes on and does so well. But now he looks like, in the same way Spinazzola looks an incredible attacking defensive option.
You've also got
Lukaku.
You've got KDB to come back into this at some point as well, right?
Yeah.
So,
but they'll have
that build up into the tournament. I don't think anything can sum up Russia's performance better than in the first half. They made Leander Dendoncker look like Jorginho in the fucking Champions League final. Like, honestly, they were so poor. Russia just couldn't get anywhere near the ball. Tielemans, we eulogise about as wonderful footballer.
Very good.
It didn't help the fact that they obviously went in to try and keep the game tight, and they give a ridiculous goal away. Although, it's offside, isn't it?
I think it's offside. I think Lukaku thought it was a little bit of. He just put it away.
Under the rules and the laws of the game, technically, it's a goal. But this was the kind of same incident with the City Villa, right? He plays the ball because Lukaku's there. If Lukaku's not there, he just lets it go through to the goalkeeper, right? I'm not comfortable with that rule at all, but it is what it is. And yes, he did intentionally try and play the ball, so technically under the rules it's correct. I just don't like it personally. Lukaku is obviously going to score goals in this tournament. If Denmark do kind of not show up on Wednesday, is it Wednesday they play? I think Wednesday, or it must be Thursday actually.
Thursday.
Then he could have a field day again. I guess if they do, then there's a chance that Lukaku wouldn't play the last group game against Finland. I think in that case, Belgium would mass rotate. For me, I'm concerned about them defensively though, actually, Belgium.
Still.
I don't think that's right with them defensively, and I think good teams will expose that. I'd be very surprised if they went on one this tournament. Attacking wise, Tielemans, KDB, you get Hazard back in there, Lukaku, Mertens, whoever's going to play, brilliant combination players. But I think under pressure against a team that defends well, like I compare them, Italy, Belgium, I look at that Belgium backline of Alderweireld, bad season. Biota for me is an average player. Even Denayer is not world class. Vertonghen's obviously now at Benfica, may have an injury that he picked up in the game as well. I think people running in at them is going to cause them big problems. Yeah, against as opposed to say Italy with Chiellini, Bonucci and stuff. I think that's the levels of difference we're talking about.
True. I mean, the one thing Belgium do have is a world-class keeper in Courtois behind there, and the keeper gives the defence a lot of confidence as well. I want to see them tested. I think it's one of those. I'm looking forward to seeing them tested.
Well, I think with them, there's every chance they won't until the quarterfinals.
Exactly, because they just keep the ball so well. And the teams,
I think when they are, it will come as a shock because I think they might breeze through to that stage of the tournament, depending on who they meet in the last 16.
Yeah,
they should. I mean, piss this group now. Really.
Sunday games kicking off with England winning in the end 1-0 against Croatia. So my missus had agreed to help my cousin out to I don't know what they were doing, mate, but she said I'm going out for an hour and a half. Ended up being 2 hours. Kids didn't really want to watch the game. I watched the first half comfortable, and then they were like, "Oh, come and play outside, Dad." And I'd already been irritated all day with all sorts of stuff with the mowing the lawn.
You need to get a fucking nanny.
Yes, tell me about it. So I missed the first 15 minutes of the second half.
Disgrace.
And then she came out. I was like, right, out of it. So I missed the goal, but obviously I've seen it on whatever. But I watched the first half and then the rest of the game. And to be honest, it was really refreshing. The first thing that kind of caught my eye was it's rare to see English footballers willing to accept the ball in tight areas under pressure and feel comfortable doing it. And the number of times Mason Mount used his body shape or what have you to just get away, and everyone was kind of Rice and Phillips, but then when you looked at the way that we actually played, and Rice sat in a bit deeper and Phillips was allowed to progress, they worked incredibly well together. The amount of times that the fullbacks were allowed to venture a little bit because Rice was always there. I almost felt like Rice was like a centre-back defensive midfielder. He's ready to just drop in and give him. And that really helps. And I think it helped Mings as well. So that works really well. Raheem Sterling, you can understand why he played, because if Kane's dropping in and playing balls and you need someone with a bit of pace, I thought Raheem did okay. In an ironic way, like Kane probably was the least best performer.
Yeah, that's probably a good explanation for that.
And you know what? At the end of the day, like if that's the situation you get to where Kane's the least best performer for England, that can only be a good thing.
Yep, absolutely. Agreed.
Yeah, I was very happy with the performance. But I think Croatia, yeah, they're not Croatia of their prime, are they? No,
they're definitely not. I mean, you in Mandzukic and Rakitic, you're taking a couple of extremely influential players out from that team from 3 years ago, and the quality has obviously not replaced it. I mean, Modric is head and shoulders still their best player, and he's 35. Yeah. He's still a magician.
It's in a similar way to Turkey, though, from the 2 days previously. I still think Croatia will probably have enough to beat Scotland and Czech Republic. Rebic and Modric and all these guys, Perisic. I think they probably still should be all right.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if they're not better than the Czechs. The Scotland game at the end might be interesting, depending on who needs what for example.
Yeah, exactly.
then they'll probably both need a result no matter what in some form or another. But it would be interesting if Croatia go into that game and know a draw is enough, for example. It's probably not great for Scotland trying to chase a game against a team, because in the midfield areas with like Kovacic and stuff as well, they've still got some good technicians. We've seen that. I think England, I spoke when I went on the Happy Hour podcast last week about the importance of retaining possession. And I think England chose at the right times when to let Croatia have the ball and basically get a fucking breather in 28 degree temperature, and when to go and press. The first 20 minutes, if you kind of didn't have the up for it feeling, the first 20 minutes gave you the up for it feeling. They went and got the crowd involved.
At 25 minutes, I opened up SofaScore because I wanted to see the possession stats. It was like 65-35 in England's favour. I was like, against Croatia, where everyone's been telling me their midfield three are going to dominate and the ball, 65-35. We had
58% possession in the first half, and we basically let them have the ball for the last 15 minutes in the first half, basically. Yeah. It's just really impressive. I think once we went ahead, there wasn't that... You kind of feel with England, they're going to blow it, right? They're going to blow it away. We know how the song goes. It didn't feel like that yesterday. It felt like they would hold on and get the result. I want to talk about Sterling because I loved the emotion in his goal, which felt like a big fuck off to everybody. Southgate it was interesting listening to Alan Shearer talking about how Terry Venables gave him so much confidence before Euro 96 by saying long before the first game, because he'd gone like 2 years without scoring for him. You're going to play. Yeah. As long as you're fit, you're going to play against Switzerland in the first game. And he said it made him feel 10 feet tall. I would not be surprised if Gareth Southgate had very similar conversations with Raheem Sterling. And the thing with that yesterday, and it's not to say that Sterling will definitely stay in the team, but England absolutely had to have an in-behind runner on the left-hand side for two reasons. One, the imbalance we have in terms of the positions that Mason Mount drifts into, which is intentional. So a quick player will mean you're kind of caught in two minds whether to go and press or not. You think, well, if I go and press and they get Sterling behind, we're in trouble. And also that ability to go and stretch them with direct balls. That's why I think Kieran Trippier played. Kieran Trippier played for that distribution of long passes, I think, over the top. I think that from left back position into Sterling over the top.
That Foden chance was a Kieran Trippier throw-in, long throw-in.
Well, we had Sterling had the Foden effort and the Sterling one from the edge of the area, which was bounced up beautifully on the volley, and he didn't hit it well. Both came from Trippier throwing. Movement was really bizarre from Croatia.
Weird, wasn't it?
Not good from their perspective at all, actually. But I think that ball, if I think of Chilwell or Shaw playing that ball actually over the top for Sterling over Vasalko in the right back position, actually, Trippier. I think that's the number one reason why he played, was that pass. I think there was also concern about Tyrone Mings. And the one thing, you can look at the system and go, so Shaw and Chilwell, obviously if they played, in terms of the way we move freely on the ball, obviously Trippier's going to restrict things a little bit because he wants to come inside. It's natural. And would we have been a bit more progressive on that side as a whole if Chilwell or Shaw had played? Yes. But also on the counter-attack would have been far more likely to have Tyrone Mings pulled out of position. Trippier sat. And actually so did Kyle Walker a lot. The back four stayed quite rigid, as in, well, do you know what? We're not going to really get done in behind here. It was a little bit of a caution play.
Yeah, I think they didn't need to, because I think they were fairly comfortable in terms of the attacking players provided enough attacking threat. I thought they did well. You're talking about Raheem Sterling. What did you make on his post-match interview as well? I thought there were a couple of things that were interesting. You're talking about confidence. Like he was talking about Wembley's. He's local lad, right? So he's going to want to score there. That's enough motivation.
As he told everyone, he's from Brent. I didn't know.
But it was the Man City comments that I found the most interesting. I almost felt like he wanted to have a dig when he was saying, I haven't scored a lot. And he goes, it's like, there's a lot of reasons for that. It felt like, all right, go on then, tell me what's going on. But he didn't. He didn't really go into it. But yeah, England did well. And I think it gives us a lot of confidence. I think we'll do very well against Scotland. The problem against Scotland, we see it in the rugby and all of these games, is that it's a big derby game. So you can't really everything's off the table a bit there.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, very different challenge Friday night.
As one of my friends described it to me, Scotland, whenever they're playing England in rugby or football, develop a third leg.
Is that a cricket analogy?
I have no idea. I think they just run faster or bigger or stronger. But yeah, I can understand. It's a big game, so it's going to be difficult. But I think England will win on Friday night.
Yeah,
temperature will be cooler. So yeah,
I think the team might be different. By the way,
I think so as well. I think we can afford to.
It could be exactly the same, but it might be different. I think
we can afford. I don't think we need Rice and Phillips against Scotland and Czech Republic.
If suddenly Chilwell or Shaw play. I wouldn't read too much even into, like, yesterday Chilwell and Jadon Sancho weren't in the 23, were they? They were the two that were left out. I wouldn't be surprised if that's a little bit part kidology, because Southgate possibly intends to play them both on Friday. Wouldn't surprise me at all. We have to give a shout out to Calvin Phillips.
What a performance.
Oh, brilliant. And I think what really pleased me so much yesterday was that the players who pre-game were the three. Trippier did absolutely fine at left back, and all of us would pick Chilwell or Shaw at left back over him.
Yeah, I'd have
but
picked Shaw, yeah.
He did fine. Right,
He
didn't play badly.
He did.
Calvin Phillips is a little bit of a I don't know. He's deep. He's double pivot, and there was a lot of talk yesterday about Phillips normally sits deeper with Calvin Rice.
Declan Rice.
Calvin Rice. Listen to me, Declan Rice. Thank you. Honestly, it's not the case. Go back and watch England games. Go back and watch James Ward-Prowse's position when England played in Albania. It's not the case. Basically, Rice sits deepest. The player to the right of him plays a little bit higher, and then Mason Mount plays left and higher even further. Still.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happened yesterday. England have been playing this way for a while. My concern with Phillips was that I wasn't sure that he was necessarily right to play that position, personally, because what we see of him best for Leeds is exactly that, going and picking the ball up off the back four. Always Leeds want to play the ball into him, long diagonals and stuff. We didn't see any of that yesterday. No. We saw what we did see is good work from Leeds, is going and pressing and hunting the ball. So good. Fitness levels, phenomenal. And for him to have the big impact moment in the game where he came in onto his bad foot, and watching on the TV, every single one of us can see the pass to Sterling, but you still got to play it. Yeah. For Phillips and Sterling to then have the big key impact moment in the game was great, because do you know what? No one's got something to moan about this morning. And everybody's got to find a scapegoat player and something to moan about. And Tyrone Mings yesterday, I think there was a lot of holding his hand, but he did absolutely fine.
The whole team did, though.
I spoke last week about my concerns about him getting drawn in. He goes too tight on people. He didn't. He stayed within the boundaries of a back four. He defended absolutely fine. So no one's got anything to moan about this morning. So what are we going to do next? I'm sure we'll find someone to moan. It'll be Kane by Friday. On Kane, he's obviously very close to Eriksen.
Yeah.
I'm not sure he should have played.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult.
Like, they're very close. Like, he's very close with their family. I know when they were together at Tottenham, they used to go out for dinner together and stuff like that.
It's difficult. The Spurs players are the ones that are going to...
They were meant to do a press conference, Kane and Southgate, on Saturday night, and they called it off, didn't they?
Yeah.
Obviously.
I didn't know that, but yeah.
But it just... I don't know if he would have been quite in the right frame of mind to play yesterday. That said, it was the same for Lukaku on Saturday night for Belgium. I haven't said he was playing Russia and we were playing Croatia. Croatia, I would expect to still go through.
Agreed. Macedonia, North Macedonia, I should say. It got to that point where I was like, okay, there are in every tournament, I'll sit through some shit just for the sake of sitting through it. And then 20 minutes in, I was actually, this is all right. And then I actually expected North Macedonia to win, from what I'd heard previously, that they were actually decent. And Austria were on the wane. But Austria, I thought, dominated. And are you talking about like that outpouring of emotion from Raheem Sterling when he scored? Fucking hell, Marko Arnautovic, he needs a fucking shack, doesn't he?
You know what that's all about, don't you? It's all political stuff with Arnautovic. Yeah. So it's something, he's like of Serb ethnicity or something. And I think he was having a go at Alioski, who might be of Albanian ethnicity, and they fucking hate each other, don't they?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's a different show, but I think that's part of what it was all about. Because he was gesticulating to someone, wasn't he? He was like, what? And
but I just thought it was more around, he'd been criticised with the whole China thing and that he wasn't good enough or whatever.
Well, yeah, he went to China for money. There's no reason why anyone else has gone there.
His goal that he took just felt so typical. Like I've seen it before at the London Stadium. When he's in beast mode, he's a very, very difficult player to defend against, and that's what he came on the pitch and looked like. Although he was huffing and puffing a little bit, I don't think he's fully quite fit yet. It was a good game to watch with no consequence. Like I just don't see Austria being any kind of impact in this tournament on North Macedonia. So they didn't serve up garbage, but I'm not really then looking from a fantasy point of view or looking at these teams thinking, oh, they might be a threat here or there.
No, I think in the case of Austria, you'd have been looking at the players for this right? The
and a few would have pumped.
Alaba rocking up at... Oh my God, David Alaba's playing in a back three suddenly when there'd been so much talk prior of
you know how
what's the best position for him, and that was not what anybody expected.
You know how the apps sometimes put formation, team lineups, and you're like, nah. When it's your own team and you're like, nah, that's not right. I just thought they'd just put a stupid team sheet out. It's like, nah, he ain't playing there. But his cross was fantastic.
I don't necessarily think it means he plays there in the other games, is what I would say, just to be conscious of that. But he absolutely could do. Apparently, there's lots of reports from Austria that want Alaba to play defensively, and it looks like he's wilted a bit and put him at the back. I quite like the fact that unusually, in the modern day with back threes, the player who's central doesn't really step out, and obviously he did quite a lot, which I really like. That actually, that's how sweepers used to be back in the day. That's why I said it on our Slack channel, 3 minutes in, Alaba sweeper rather than centre back sweeper, because he'll come out from that position. Like Sabitzer, loved the first goal, brilliant goal, brilliant assist, brilliant finish from Lena, the right wing back as well. They deserve to win. They'll be better for having Arnautovic come in the team. I suspect in this group we watched two teams better than them last night. It was nice for North Macedonia to have their moment. I think on a different day the referee might give a free kick for that, but I didn't have a problem with the goal standing, and it was nice particularly for Goran Pandev, who, I don't know how old he is. This is where someone points out he's the same age as me. Yes, he is actually the same age as me. But it was nice particularly for him to be the player, I think, who scored the goal. He made his debut for Macedonia I think 2003 or 2004 or something like. So he's been on the journey with them. I like the performance of Bardi in midfield. Looked like a good player. But for them, the story is just being there, right? Interesting, they had a lot of fans there, and they will do for their other game there against Ukraine as well, although I think Ukraine will have quite a few there in Bucharest when they play each other as well. But they're well supported. I thought they played okay. They were quite nice, actually, when they attacked. They didn't... They were nice to watch in the sense that they didn't just kind of sit in and say things up. It was a decent game. When they broke, they had a couple of moments at 1-1. I think Alioski was dangerous from left wing back. But I mean, these two teams, from a fantasy perspective, were targeting with this game in mind. Exactly. I think particularly. So, I mean, Alaba is. If I don't wildcard in match day 3, Alaba is not going to be my biggest problem because he's going to play, right? I'm probably going to look to fill other fires and hope that he pulls something out the bag that he did yesterday. I would have thought that Arnautovic will come in for Kalajic. I would have thought for the next game.
Let's wrap up, James, talking about the final game last night, which was Netherlands 3, Ukraine 2. Another great game. A little bit more crash bang wallop. It was reasonably end to end, although more of Dutch attack than Ukrainian attack, where they did carry a threat. And I'll tell you what, after 5 or 10 minutes, owning Memphis Depay, I was like, this is fill my boots day today from a fantasy point of view, and ended up getting nothing, but he looked lively as you like.
After about 90 seconds, you probably had that feeling, actually.
I thought this is looking good. But there were, again, a number of performers in that Dutch side that I maybe wouldn't have looked at prior to the game that I now think actually interesting. Dumfries as another defender.
Stood out like a mile.
You're thinking
5.5 if you're wondering.
You're looking Spinzola, Meunier, Dumfries. Some of these attacking fullbacks are looking threatening as you like. Depay was solid. Weghorst, I could see that it looked pretty damn sexy in claret and blue. I'm not just saying.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, I got him in the team up. I don't rate him that much, to be honest.
No, I mean, think about the reason I look at it is the qualities that match the striker we have now for the system that we play, which is physical and in your face. And so, like, if we were to buy a diminutive small striker for our club, it wouldn't work with the other players that we have around. So I think he's got something there. He played okay. I thought Depay though was really good.
I thought it was a bit frustrating actually. I felt there were times that he was overdoing it a little bit.
Because the end product wasn't quite there.
I don't think he played badly.
Nah,
he was overdoing it a bit at times.
The thing is, like, why I was hot, at least he was involved. It did feel like he was main man in their setup, and he is main man. Like,
clearly,
yeah, he's a good player, Memphis. But I just across the Dutch team, Dumfries. I think I never really seen it. He was really attacking.
Obvious.
He did well. You mentioned on the pod that we did on Thursday with Watch List about Wijnaldum, and his price was justified because for Holland he plays a different role. I think
I was right.
Had I been making my transfer this week, Eriksen to Wijnaldum was just a no-brainer. It just felt like such a straightforward no-brainer. I mean, there are other options I have.
But quite possibly what I'll be doing in match day 3 anyway.
It just felt like this is too easy because at 8 million, that gives me $1.5 million to go and do something else somewhere else. So
that exactly would allow me final day if Holland need a result in the last game, which I'm a little bit conscious they might not, but Eriksen to Wijnaldum and then Windal to Dumfries.
Yeah, so it's interesting. I thought Holland were good. Ukraine carried a bit of a threat. 3-2 and this kind of amazing comeback and stuff. I don't know if Ukraine really deserved it.
I thought they were okay. Do you know what? I'll tell you what I liked about them.
What did that West Ham clips? What do they call Yarmolenko? The Soviet something. I
don't know. He never plays for you.
Yeah, but whenever he scored before, it's like, there goes the Soviet Kalashnikov. Whatever. His left foot, any time, any place with Yarmolenko.
I mean, they let him come inside, and then the midfielders
it reminded
didn't
me
go
of
and
that Chelsea
press him
game.
either.
Was it Zuma that let him go in, showed him inside when we...
late in the restart period, yeah.
And you're just like, you know he's only got 1 foot. You know he's only got 1 foot. Never let that guy go inside.
It is easier said than done, but I think in that situation, actually, when he starts coming off the touchline, the midfielders, it's their duty as well to understand, right, let's not let him come in there. Because when he went to shoot, I think all of us think, we might score there.
Yeah.
Because very capable. I saw him score a very similar goal for Dortmund at Wembley against Tottenham a few years ago. Very, very capable from distance. I liked they were quite incisive with their passing. So when the counter-attacking options did open up for them, they tried to play through the lines quite quickly. And actually, I mean, in the first 10, 15 minutes, it was quite end-to-end. And Ukraine had a few sort of 3-on-3s on the counter-attack and stuff. Better sides than Ukraine are going to give Holland a very big problem. I sympathise with them that obviously De Ligt was unavailable and obviously Virgil van Dijk is obviously unavailable as well. I think if you put them two into the back three, then that's obviously a different team defensively. It says a lot for Nathan Ake as well, though, that he's still not getting in the Dutch team, by the way.
He's a Premier League champion, mate.
Yeah, I'm sure he would tell me that and remind me that. So's fucking Scott Carson, by the way. I liked... Yarmolenko, who played up front. I actually thought his work in the game was quite good, goal aside. I was watching the game before he scored and thought, you might be of interest to me for the old Limitless in the midweek, actually, because I've obviously played North Macedonia, which make Ukraine particularly interesting. So I think Yarmolenko is interesting. Milyanovsky was the player that I think quite a few people punted with at the start. Technically looks a good player, likes to play reverse passes. Didn't kind of strike me that he'd personally get the attacking returns. Felt like he'd be more of a creator. Yarmolenko is a decent shout for that. And Zinchenko's obviously OOP, would definitely be the defender you go for. Yeah,
I'm going to end up on my Limitless with 2 Ukraine because of the fixture.
I think that's possible for me as well.
Yarmolenko and Zinchenko are the 2 at the moment that I have my eye on, and I may add another. The thing with the Limitless that I'm trying to make sure is that I've got coverage every day rather than leaving it very back-end heavy, because that France against Hungary is pile-in kind of situation, isn't it? And maybe even Spain Spain and Poland, right? Or is that
Spain-Poland tonight?
Spain-Sweden
tonight, sorry.
So Poland's their game.
That's correct.
In the Limitless week. So Spain, I want a couple. That's all quite late loaded. So I want to make sure I've got some coverage earlier in the week, and the Ukraine, couple of Ukraine players for that game against its North Macedonia, isn't it? Is one that I want to look at.
I could, in theory, I think, have 6 players in my Limitless from that game last night. I could quite easily look at that and go, Dumfries, I think that's the obvious one now. Obviously, if you're on Limitless, doesn't matter. 11 penalty area touches last night. I don't think it's a particularly good player. I don't think it also matters under this format. Wijnaldum, I would go for.
Yep.
With the midfielders, Depay. And I could see me going Yarmolenko and Zinchenko as well. I think that's quite possible, actually,
yep.
What I might
Do you think
Holland,
Netherlands, sorry. Are they Holland? Are you allowed to call them Holland?
Do you know what? They was having this discussion during the second half last night as well. Apparently, they have to be the Netherlands. But Dutch fans, tell me, are you offended when we say Holland? If you're offended,
am I? No.
Yeah, exactly. If I've been calling you wrong for 30 years and you're offended by us calling you Holland, please tell us and we'll stop. Otherwise, as far as I'm concerned, you're fucking Holland.
Do you think they'll beat Austria comfortably?
Yes. Yeah.
So that's where it opens up the opportunity on Limitless.
My opinion on Holland is, as soon as they play a team that's equipped in the knockout stages, they'll get beat.
There we go. That's the games. We still got 6 more games in this. 5 more games. What we're talking about in this round to go. 3 tonight, 2 tomorrow, isn't it?
3 tonight, 2 tomorrow. Yes. You're quite right.
5 more games to go. We'll be recording every day this week. You'll get your pods. We'll be reviewing the games, having a little rundown on where we're at. Again, Wednesday morning we'll be looking at our Limitless chip, because I think both of us are going to go in on the Limitless, and enjoying the football at the moment. That's the main thing.
Couple of things just before we finish. One, and it's from the game last night. If you want to see how not to defend a set piece, Yarmchuk's goal. I mean,
the ball was good.
That's what kind of is remarkable about Ukraine's comeback. Even in that, he's the only one that goes for it. Yeah, there's like 6 or 7 Dutch players.
I was trying to give credit to the delivery, but you got to defend.
Was decent delivery. I'm pretty sure that was from Milanovsky as well.
It was Milanovsky. It was Milanovsky's assist. Yeah.
And the other thing I wanted to mention was the car.
The car.
Yeah. In the opening ceremony, to bring the game.
The little ball, the radio controlled car.
What did you make of that?
Listen, mate, got to make the monies.
All about money.
The Benjamins.
How much do you reckon they paid for that? Right. We got a toy car. We'll bring the ball on for kickoff.
Yeah.
That's a great idea. How much are you going to pay for it? How much do you reckon?
Qatar World Cup. I can imagine a car, an actual car with a ball on the roof being driven into the stadium. Ball comes off. Everyone's like, "Oh shit, we fucked up the pitch because the car's done donuts."
Why don't we get them to replace ball boys instead of giving sanitizing? In the car, control. You could have a sanitizer sprays the ball in the car and just drives it for corners and stuff like that.
Qatar Airways could sponsor the ball drop. A plane could fly over, release the balls, including the ones that go around,
and Modric would still control it.
My God. So, anything else to add other than the shows? I mean, it's Euro week. We're just going to be podding about the Euros each and every day, other than obviously for our patrons, we have additional shows as well. A little bit of Q&A tomorrow.
On Patreon, yeah.
Yep.
Wednesday, our Patreon podcast will be Premier League based. Fixtures drop 9 a.m.
Nice.
So we'll be doing that. Tottenham on Thursday. David Moyes has signed a new contract.
He has. What about you lot?
Tottenham have a new managing director, and Paulo Fonseca will be the Tottenham manager at some point in the next couple of days. I'm going to stick my neck on that. Do you know why I'm going to stick my neck on that? Because Fabrizio Romano tweeted about it last night, so I know that it's definitely happening now. That's inevitability. So we'll be doing that. Other than that, be Euros pods all week. We will try our best to have audio out for you for around about 11:30 a.m. UK time, and YouTube premieres at 12 p.m. UK time.
Yes.
Because obviously it's 2 o'clock kickoffs this week, so we're going to be recording nice and early this week.
As always, end each and every show with saying, you know what, stay safe at the current times. If I had one other thing to stay safe, it was the first aid that Simon Kjaer knew that saved the guy's tongue. So if you ever get the chance to do a first aid course, whether it's at work or whatever else, just double think about it, because stuff like that does keep people safe. Stay safe. Look after yourselves. Ciao for now.
I'm going to sing us out. Here's to you, Christian Eriksen. Tottenham loves you more than you will know. Cue music, please, man child.